The wrestling landscape is thriving in 2024. So many different promotions, so many different places for wrestlers to work. However, maybe some wrestlers are not in the right destination. Maybe they would be better suited somewhere else. Today, I'm going to focus on the AEW roster and perhaps some wrestlers that I think would be better suited going to WWE. Perhaps maybe this could be from a booking standpoint. Maybe they've not reached their potential. In fact, I think most of them I've mentioned here have not reached their potential. Maybe some of them were just better when they were in WWE. We're going to go through a host of names on this video, and I'm going to ask you at the end of the video which ones you agree and disagree with in the comments below, and if there's any names that I've missed out. So let's start off then with Ricky Starks, someone who's been AWOL from AEW TV now for around 6 months. Of course, the last time we properly saw him, he was an AEW Tag Team Champion with Big Bill, which of course, yes, he was a champion AEW, but a few months before that, he was an Owen Hart tournament winner and someone that was challenging the real world's champion, CM Punk. Of course, the main event scene of Collision, but of course when Punk left the promotion and Ricky Starks wasn't featured on All In, the booking has been a bit sideways for Ricky Starks since, and I don't quite understand and can't quite put my finger on why he is not one of the top players in AEW. Coming in during the pandemic as well in 2020, being one of Cody's open challenges, of course, for the TNT Championship. Ricky's had some fun moments, of course, being involved in some of the Sting matches as well, but as I say, overall, the guy's got so much charisma, great in-ring talent, so much skill. When he had the Big Bill combination, which I thought was his bodyguard, I really thought Ricky Starks was going to go places in All Elite Wrestling, but it's not quite worked out. He still has connections though with people that are on the other side in WWE, and maybe, just maybe, speculation only, that could be a factor. He's still good friends with Cody Rhodes. He was seen backstage at a Royal Rumble event when Cody won. Of course, he's been training with Jade Cargill as well, of course, who's also made the jump to WWE. So maybe Ricky Starks should be the next one to move over to WWE. I feel that he certainly would be someone that would be treated very well over there, either as an instant NXT champion or someone that could even thrive on a Raw or SmackDown roster. I really do have high hopes for Ricky Stark in the future of his career. Next on the list for me, no surprise with this one, Wardlow. How do you take a big guy who is nearly 300 pounds, who can powerbomb Symphony superstars over and over again and look like a megastar, and was feeling like a megastar when he was alongside MJF as the bodyguard, to break away, to then have the big moment where he, destroyed MJF in a singles match at Double or Nothing, to then win the TNT Championship, to then just be booked really badly. I don't know what's happened, because Wardlow should right now be one of the faces of AEW. He has the look, he has the skill. He actually was not bad on the mic either, but the material he's been given just hasn't worked. He's been floundering, and when he does return, the carpet gets pulled from underneath very, very quickly, including when he was a part of the Undisputed Kingdom. He'd come back, and for the first time in a long time, this guy looked super strong, looked like he was going to be the real powerhouse of the group. Of course, the group hasn't quite worked out with Adam Cole's injuries. Of course, Ring of Honor connections as well with the OG Kingdom, and of course Roderick Strong. But when it comes to then him moving forward, he would go for the championship and lose in quite, I don't want to say decisive fashion, but certainly not looking the strongest fashion against Samoa Joe. He's kind of almost fed to Joe. And for me, Wardlow, again, he's not been seen since. He's someone that's absent from AEW TV for a long, extended period of time. For me, when it's time for his contract to come up, I honestly would consider, hoping he would consider moving on to pastures new, and I would hope the door would be open for WWE, because in my opinion, this guy has, he has the skills of like a Brock Lesnar or a Batista, those sort of guys, and I think he's got a potential to be a main event guy. With the right creative put behind him and, perhaps the right people around him, I think Wardlow is a star, and I think personally for me, AEW have had a chance to make that star, but unfortunately, we've just not seen it. So for me, he should go to WWE. Following this is someone who's currently not re-signed to AEW at the time of recording, if you believe reports. I am talking about one Daniel Garcia. I think he would thrive in NXT right now. A fantastic pure wrestler, looks to be one of the best in the game, one of the potential rising stars to be a Bryan Danielson of the future. And weirdly enough, that's how he was being booked one point in All Elite Wrestling, having a fantastic series with Bryan Danielson. But instead, He then went on to do the comedy stuff. Yes, he was a part of the Jericho Appreciation Society. That gave him a lot of TV time. But for me, there was an opportunity for him to break away from that group and actually go to the Blackpool Combat Club to actually present him as the way they presented Wheeler Yuta for the last couple of years, as a great up-and-coming guy who's going to be one of the biggest stars in this company one day. Instead, they continued him being the comedy character, fandangoing, dare I say, all around AEW. And look, don't get me wrong, the dance is over with the crowd. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but at the same time, this guy is so much more than a comedic dance. It's time for Garcia to get serious, and for me, it's time to see the pro wrestler that's in there. And for me, AEW, in my opinion, and controversially, I think have wasted Daniel Garcia in the last couple of years. I think a potential move to WWE and NXT could be just what he needs. So far, the people that have gone from AEW to WWE have all flourished. You look at Ethan Page, who's become an NXT champion. Cody Rhodes is currently the WWE champion. Jade Cargill, women's tag team champion. It is all there, all signed up. Garcia, if it was me, I'd be going to WWE. That's just me. A little bit of naughty speculation for me for this fourth one. I'm going with Hook. Now, he's just recently retired the FTW Championship. Now, this could be because of the way the championship has been presented in AEW. It's not a real championship. It's also gone for a bit of a rebrand in 2024 with the Learning Tree and Chris Jericho, the For the World Championship. But for me, when I look at Hook, he's kind of in the exact same position he was in like 2 or 3 years ago. He's someone that was really over with the crowd, seen as a big special deal. AEW still try to present him that way when they see, you know, the big sign and the music starts for him. But when he comes through the curtain, I said the booking, the creative hasn't changed for about 3 years. He's in the same position of the card. You don't believe him to get any further up the card. And to be honest, I think he could just do with a bit of NXT treatment. Dare I say, if he was to go to the Performance Center, have some of the experienced people put an arm around him, I think he's got the potential to take his wrestling expertise to the next level. Like I've just said with Daniel Garcia, I think he's a young gun that could be a big deal in this business, and I think you could get that hype behind him once again. Maybe it just needs the WWE machine to do it. Now, Taz is still with AEW, is on commentary. Maybe he'd want to keep his son around, and maybe his son would want to stick around, but there could be the argument made that if it's best for his career, maybe it is best for him to move on, and maybe Taz would have the blessing, would be okay with that. So time will tell with this one, but I think that Hook should go to WWE, and he's another one of those that, if real reports are to be believed, the contract is set to be expiring soon. Now, some guys were just better in WWE, in my opinion. Miro is one of them. Apparently, he has asked for his release from AEW at the time of recording. I'm not sure if that release has been granted, but if Miro was to get his way and he was to get away from All Elite Wrestling, I would love to see him go back as Rusev in WWE. Rusev Day was massively over in 2018. Look, he was presented as a monster in 2015 when he had Lana by his side. Obviously, that would not be possible now, of course, of how life has worked out. But at the same time, I think if he was to go back to WWE, he would be treated pretty darn well. I think he would fit in nicely, just like Andrade's done coming back to WWE. I think he could have that spot on SmackDown where he would be, you know, one of the biggest deals, one of the biggest stars, sort of mid-card going towards upper mid-card, and maybe if they can get the right creative, the right push behind him, maybe that next thing can take him to that next level, and maybe he can really realise his potential. Of course, he's got many good friends over in WWE as well, so personally, I just like to see him go back. Another wrestler I'd like to see go back to WWE is Keith Lee. Now, personally, health has obviously been a major factor in this one. I think things would have been different for Keith Lee had health not been an issue while he's been in All Elite Wrestling. And most important of anything else is that Keith Lee is healthy and happy. That is the most important thing. But in the time he has been in All Elite Wrestling, I am shocked that he was not shot put straight towards the top end of the card. He was actually spending a lot of his time in a tag team with Swerve Strickland. Now, it's worked for Strickland. He's gone on to be on the main event scene. Maybe if things had been different for Keith Lee, maybe he would have done as well. We will never know at this point. Now, his WWE run, if you look back at it in NXT, he was an absolute monster. He was fantastic to watch. He was liked and loved by everybody as well. He was seen to be the next big thing. When he got called up to Raw, of course, he was under the creative of Vince McMahon, and that didn't work out. And of course, he was released from the company 12 months later. Triple H has now got the pencil in WWE. So if Keith Lee was to return and able to return, which I hope is possible one day, I would like to see him back in a WWE ring. And I think when you look as well, Michin is back with WWE, also Mia Yim. So I personally would obviously Keith Lee there, and I think he would be booked better, and I think he would do well in WWE. But like I say, health must come first. Last of the former WWE superstars I will mention is Malachi Black. Now, reportedly, the contract is up sooner than we all expected. If that's the case, it could be early 2025. And House of Black for me has been fun in AEW. I've enjoyed them as trios champions. I've enjoyed the work with, Brody King along with Buddy Matthews. But at the same time, Malachi Black is just on Collision, so I don't see so much of his work. And he's another one of those guys that came in, destroyed Cody Rhodes. You're thinking this guy's going to be booked to the moon, but instead is in the trios division, which, let's be honest, as fun and as good as the matches are, it's not seen as a high priority by AEW. It's just not. And I think for that reasoning, I want to see Malachi Black reach that potential. I remember the NXT days. NXT champion, the killer theme music, the way that he was done and presented, he just looked like he was going to be the next big thing. And I think if he was to go back to WWE, Triple H with a pencil, I think it would take time to work him up the ladder, but certainly I think that potential is there. So Malachi Black back to WWE, in my opinion. Next on the list for me, and this one is one of the most important, Jay White. Jay White for me has had a horror show in All Elite Wrestling. Yes, I know he was booked towards the main event picture towards the end of last year. He did have a main event match on a pay-per-view against MJF, but he lost to a man with one leg. This was a guy who was having main events in the Tokyo Dome, winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, having 40-minute bangers on a consistent basis, had fantastic promo skills, was amazing on the microphone when he was talking, to where he's just a part of the Bang Bang gang here in AEW, and again is treated a bit like an afterthought. He's went from the main event scene and the main event championship picture to being on the Countdown show for Revolution, the Countdown show again for the pay-per-view afterwards. I don't quite know what's going on here when it comes to Jay White. Something hasn't connected and something hasn't been right, in my opinion, when it comes to booking Jay White in All Elite Wrestling. Now, if rumours are to be believed, of course, a lot of the changes were going on in WWE at the time that Jay White was actually available. There was interest from WWE, but the hiring was frozen during that period. I wonder what would happen if Jay White was available now. Has too much damage been done to the stock of Jay White, or could WWE take Jay White on and actually show us the Jay White that we should be seeing in front of American audiences? Because we're not seeing the New Japan Jay White in AEW, and for me, I think that's an absolute crime. And speaking of the Bang Bang Gang, let's take the Guns along with him, because, well, look, this one, a little bit of a selfish reason. Look, Billy Gunn was a tag team champion in WWE. His sons growing up, you would imagine they would want to be in WWE at some point. They have been in AEW, they have been tag team champions. Again now, they are somewhere on Collision. They're not really on Dynamite that much at all. I think if they were given an opportunity to go to WWE, I think they would actually do really well in NXT right now. It's probably one of the weaker divisions that WWE has, is their tag team division in NXT. So I think the Guns would do really well over there. And I mean, if they had the opportunity to build themselves up in NXT, who knows how it could go if they were to go to a Raw and a SmackDown. And the last name on the list, Danhausen. For me, Danhausen apparently has no creative plans for him moving forward currently in All Elite Wrestling. He has been tight with CM Punk in the past. I don't know if that's gone against him, but he got injured and he's not been seen on TV since. It feels like it's been over a year, possibly even nearly 2 years since seeing Danhausen in All Elite Wrestling, which has been pretty much a comedy character at best. But he does do some good in-ring work as well. We've seen that with Ring of Honor. We've seen that on the independent circuit. I personally would like to see it in NXT. I think that there is a space open for a comedy character like Danhausen. And of course, we're now in the month of October as well, Halloween Havoc on the way. Wouldn't you love to see Danhausen host a Halloween Havoc? I think that would be a lot of fun. Him spinning the wheel, making the deal, perhaps throwing some curses left, right and centre, I think would be brilliant. Personally, for me, Danhausen, I think would be awesome in WWE. And the fact that CM Punk also seems to make quite a few appearances in NXT, I think you can have that dynamic working pretty well on WWE TV as well. So for me, I personally would love to see Danhausen in WWE one day. But that's my 10 selections of who I think from AEW should go to WWE when their contracts are up, when perhaps the next opportunity arises. This video is just a bit of fun, it's just a bit of an opinion, and for those that are wondering, yes, I am going to do the reverse video of WWE superstars who I think should go to AEW. But if you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well, and let me know now in the comments below, do you agree with my picks? Do you have other people you would say should go instead? And if you disagree with any of my picks, then please let me know why. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves and each other, and check out this video on the side of the screen right now. It is my Wrestle Dream predictions. All the best, take care, I'll see you next time.